Serve the world unselfishly in profit.
Hey everyone, Ezra Firestone here. I'm with my good buddy Eric Lanchares, the SEO doctor. I don't think they saw your wave. He's on a bouncy ball here, and we are in Austin, Texas for an SEO mastermind. And Eric's going to come on the Smart Marketer podcast and do a whole episode on Penguin and Panda recovery. A lot of e-commerce business owners, a lot of business owners in general, and people with websites got hit really hard by the Penguin and Panda updates in Google. So Eric's going to come on the podcast and give us a full hour on Penguin and Panda. But quickly, just as a little bit of a teaser for this upcoming podcast, he's going to give us 2 tips right now.
All right, well, the question I get the most, especially for Panda these days, and one of the biggest changes for Panda is in 2012, Google kind of like turned up the notch, because we know Panda's all about code, site quality, and it turned up the notch on the actual code quality. So one of the big improvements that I see websites do is they fixed all the code and they've seen improvement in the rankings. And before, that didn't really have that big of an impact. But now, what we have been seeing a lot is deprecated code. Things like if you were using front page 2003, front page 2007 to code your website, now you're most likely going to suffer a penalty these days, because front page by itself uses the old type of code, like things like kind of font, center. These pieces of code are really commonly found throughout the web, but those are old and they're outdated.
Funky, outdated code.
Yeah, so now Google's trying to phase that out, and all the sites that typically have that also typically haven't really been updated in the past like 5-10 years or so. So it's a big quality indicator. So if you have any of those on your site, I urge you to go through them and remove them or fix them or update them or do whatever you have to do, but make sure you get rid of the deprecated code, because that's really one of the quality indicators that is brand new of 2012,
that
2013.
Tells Google that you're keeping your site up to date and in line with the improvements that that are coming as far as how websites are coded, HTML5 and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. The more modern your website, obviously, usually the better. But it's not just, you could still have an HTML website. It's not the actual, they're not going after HTML, but they're going after bad code inside HTML. That's a big distinction that people say. So it's not necessarily that you don't need a WordPress site, you don't need a Drupal site or anything like specific, but your code, whatever you do use, needs to be of high quality. And that's going to make a big difference. And if you've started losing rankings because you have old code, fix it and you're going to see some improvements.
Nice.
Okay? Yeah.
Thank you. Cool.
And the other thing.
There was one more.
There was one more.
That was for Panda.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have a penguin. Penguin is kind of like an over-optimization penalty, and one of the things that
page specific,
yeah.
Not site wide.
So a lot of people, like their homepage was bombarded with links to the homepage to rank for one specific term, and then they see themselves losing rankings for that one specific term, and they don't just lose a bit; they lose completely. So one of the major things is Google's counting now bad backlinks. They're finding the bad backlinks and they're penalizing you for it. And one of them, it doesn't necessarily go via PageRank, but instead, sometimes it goes by the text on the page. So if, let's say you have a profile, like people that used to do Angela's packets or Paul's packets or whatever, they used to create hundreds of
spammy profile, like buying bulk backlinks from crap places.
Exactly. Those are among the ones that you want to avoid. So we're going to talk more about that.
We'll talk more about it on the podcast. But basically what he's saying is that where your links are coming from, if you've got links pointing to a website about bar stools and it's on a gambling website, Google knows that the site that the links are on is irrelevant, so it discounts those. So we'll go into all this kind of detail in the podcast. Just wanted to give you a quick teaser about it. Thanks for watching. Eric, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And we'll do a little handshake.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, see ya.
Serve the world unselfishly in profit.